Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name is Helen Burton and I'm the host of Skyrocket with Helen Burton. And we have Socrates, our friend the owl, who's going to give us wisdom. And I want to remind you of my book, Skyrocket Your Business in 30 Days While Having Coffee with Helen. I've been running workshops and we've been using my book. And people have been learning so much about themselves and about their businesses. And one of the exercises I had everyone do is write a thank you note to their business. And one of the women in the group couldn't thank me enough for that exercise because she said she was just focusing on getting more business and not realizing what she's accomplished in her business. So take a piece of paper, grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, and write a thank you note to your business and let me know what you discover. Today we have a very special guest. And I know Barbara about 3 years. Mm-hmm. And Barbara Prince is the development director for the Princeton Senior Resource Center. And I've been volunteering my services for her committee. And what they do is they have fundraisers. And we've been having such a good time at the galas and square dancing and different things like that. So I invited Barbara to come and join us today to tell us about some of the upcoming functions that you're going to be having.
Great.
So tell us a little about yourself.
I have a master's in education from Rutgers. I worked at the Office of Population Research as a grant administrator for several years. I moved from there to the Principal Center of the Garden State, Mercer County Community College, where I was also a grants and fundraiser development person. Development is a polite way of saying fundraising.
Yes.
And now I've been at the Princeton Senior Resource Center, as you said, for about 3 years, and have absolutely loved working there. It's for me, it's sort of a transition between working very full-time, as I did at Mercer County Community College, and working sort of part-time, but really with a fantastic team of people who genuinely care about the welfare of all people, but in particular seniors in this community and in the surrounding communities, and their caregivers, which is really essential. You know, it's one of the key things that we tend to focus only on, you know, the patient, but the family that's taking care of the patient gets ignored.
Right.
And so we really try and provide as much of that support as we can, and the resources and knowing where to go to get various services. So that's, you know, in a nutshell, my background, because I'm familiar with being in education. So for me, it's a great combination of being education and fundraising.
Right, and it's really great. And I always tell this story. I had a couple of friends when I retired and I started my own business, and they said, you know, why don't you go to the Princeton Senior Center? I said, I'm not going there. Everybody's going to be so old. And they said, no, they're not. But of course I didn't believe them. And I saw in the newspaper they were doing a TED Talk. And I really wanted to go hear it. So I went and I was shocked.
Right.
That, you know, like such educated people, you know, come. And it was really great meeting everyone. And I've been there 3 years now and running some groups for them and volunteering my services for your group.
You've been an invaluable volunteer because not only are you helping us, I've got 2 team members in development, which are great, Donna and John. They're fabulous. They bring a lot of skills that I don't have, and our department sort of works very team-based. And great volunteers like yourself and others who have come in and helped with different events and even some of the mundane things like, you know, getting the letters out, getting the phone calls made, getting the decorations brought in, whatever. So, and I know that you've been very invaluable with the TED Talks.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, so it's been fun. That's been my second home. Please give us a short history lesson of the Senior Center.
It started in 1974. The office at that time was at Spruce Circle, which is on Harrison Street, sort of across and down from the fire station. There's low-income housing there, as there are in other places, and the center worked as a liaison and care development of the social services that are needed by a town. From there, in 1974, it grew. In 1987, we had a volunteer program that was started by Barbara Purnell, I believe, and also the director at the time of the center. Barbara's been a longtime volunteer, and in fact is going to be an honoree of this year's major event, which we'll talk about later, which is the Home Friends program, so that volunteers would go in and assist people who may be homebound, maybe bring in the groceries, help them get their mail, help them get to the doctor's offices, be a companion. It's way beyond Meals on Wheels, dropping in. It's really dropping in and meeting the need that is there. And then in I believe in the early 90s, we moved in as well to our second facility in the Susan Patterson building.
Oh, okay.
Where we have most of our classes, although there are several classes, exercise classes and group meetings that happen at Spruce Circle still. And our social workers have offices in Spruce Circle.
Right.
But in the Suzanne Patterson building, and to some extent in, I don't know what this building is called, the municipal building. The old Borough Hall.
Right.
We've got the Evergreen Forum, which is 50 courses a year that are really designed for lifelong learning in every subject. Chinese literature, young writers, Woody Allen movies. Then we have other groups like Cosmology that meet religiously every single week to talk about the cosmos, which is phenomenal. It's a very different center than one thinks of for a senior center, because our objective is to keep active, bright, engaged people active, bright, and engaged. To build new friendships and to make them and to make all of us, myself included, a good transition between retirement and the grave. We're here doing all sorts of different things. So
exactly, and it's one thing that I really love about it is that you have an opportunity to participate in different things. And I took a class last fall. This spring, and it was at the Princeton University Art Museum. And I've never been downstairs. I always go upstairs, and they have the artifacts downstairs. And it was a program where they had different docents every week, and they talked about different countries.
Was it an Evergreen Forum class?
Yes.
So it was a class through PSRC, but it was, we have 25 community partners, or maybe more, but close to 25 community. So the Art Museum's been a very good supporter.
Oh, that's great. And it was so interesting, and I learned so much. It was really great. And I've taken some other, classes there too. And I teach 2 classes, and I love the people that come. And we have some great discussions, with the classes that I teach.
It is.
Yeah. So what is the changing landscape for nonprofits? Because it's really changed in the last few years.
It has. Development and nonprofits have changed dramatically. When I started in development 30-something years ago, you would write a grant for $50,000, $100,000, and you would get that grant for $50,000 or $100,000. There were not as many organizations vying for non-government dollars or corporate dollars.
Right.
And the landscape has changed quite a bit from the Center of Nonprofits. I recently read that 74% of from this survey, responding organizations reported that their services have increased. Their staff has had to increase, but the amount of money that they are netting after all, after their expenses, has decreased. That there's so much competition for various funding. So that's made the whole world of development a challenge.
Yes,
a pleasant challenge, but a challenge. 42 of the responding organizations reported that they had received more funding, but had their expenses go way up because the services that were required of that organization had increased, so that staffing had to increase, so that other services. And we're finding that ourselves at PSRC. We're finding that great news is we have more than we can handle with Evergreen Forum, and we're struggling to find additional spaces to hold the classes because we see the need, we see the appreciation for the classes, and yet if that happens, then all of a sudden you have to have staff to coordinate where those classes are going to be. You have to pay rent for facilities that we otherwise were using in our own space, but we've run out of space. So we share a lot of that growth in support, but growth in expenses as well. And a lot of that has come because there has been a lot less government funding for some of the essentials, some of the social services that we need, some of the tax assistance that you would give. All of these are programs that PSRC offers. We have social workers that help people find a wheelchair if they need a wheelchair, find a health coordinator if they need one, if they don't have a family member near them. But, again, it takes staffing to do that and time. And then the other things that we try and do is keep as many of our classes as reasonably priced or free as we can. So the Evergreen Forum has a class, but the TED Talks, for instance, don't. Social Bridge on Tuesdays does not. Some of our art classes have a very minimal charge.
Like the
Cosmology group, I think that they pay for copying, and that's about it. Meanwhile, all of that takes staff coordination, and time invested, and the logistics of finding a space and the parking and everything else. So PSRC has shared in that notoriety that it's harder to raise money. There are fewer sources and more competition for those dollars. And so we're very appreciative of those individuals and those corporations who wish to be our partners.
Yes, it's I went to something and they had volunteers from Bloomberg. With the computers. And he was great. Because I just bought a new computer and I had no idea what to do. And he set it up for me, and I've been able to use my new computer. So it was really great.
Bloomberg has been just a phenomenal community partner. Not only do we have volunteers who come to almost all of our events, including our upcoming events. We're going to have an event next week on May 11th, which may be after this show airs. And then we're going to have our barbecue on June 18th. And again, we've got Bloomberg volunteers. But they were also a corporate partner and sponsor when we did our 40th gala anniversary event 2 years ago. They were very instrumental in providing some of the funding and the corporate sponsorship for that. So we really do appreciate.
They're great people.
They are.
They really are. What is PSRC fundraising mission?
Well, our mission is to make sure that when our doors can stay opened, and that our programs can stay available to as many people as would like to come.
Right.
And in some cases, as in the case of Evergreen Forum, we have an oversubscription. So,
Right.
in
Yeah.
many cases, that is it. We want to be sure that classes are affordable. We do understand that if somebody's on a fixed income, they're on a fixed income.
Right.
And that they don't necessarily want or feel that they're in a position to pay a tuition or a fee for everything that they do. On the other hand, we want to make sure in development that people understand that fees in themselves do not cover all of the cost of running that class.
Right.
So we send out annual appeal letters twice a year usually, and subtle little things, subtle little events that we have.
Right.
We've had a number of really fun events, of which you've been
That's
partially
so
responsible
fun.
as a volunteer on our gala committee.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of experiences because we realized, you have a silent auction or something. People don't want another mug or picture or place setting because we are downsizing.
Yes.
But we love having a tour of the university chapel, or as
that was fantastic.
Which was fantastic, and we thank Princeton University for allowing us to do that. We have had other partners, the Princeton Tour Company.
Oh, that was great.
They were wonderful.
Good.
They donated a tour for us, but I realize that local businesses are also inundated, so we have to be very careful about not over asking them. We are not the only nonprofit who asks for support. We realize that. So our mission in development is to try and bring in as many grants as we can to support various programs. Among those programs are things like the Grand Pals programs. We have over 100, I think we had over 120 older adults going into the 4 elementary schools in Princeton and reading on a weekly basis with a group of kids, so that that grandparent and that surrogate grandparent and that group of students that they're reading to bond throughout the year. And we have some grandpals who have been doing it for over 20 years. And that program started way back in, I believe, I can't find the piece of paper that says it, but but I think it's been 23 or 4 years.
Oh my goodness!
Since it started.
Great. Yeah.
So that's been a wonderful partnership with the Princeton Public School.
Right.
And then our other mission is to make sure that that we run a super major event each year. Right. So last year we had a gala, and the year before we had also a dinner gala. And this coming year, we're going to have the Capitol Steps.
I know.
Who are fantastic.
I know. Oh,
they're, for anybody who doesn't know them. For anybody who doesn't know who they are, they're a political, satirical musical troupe. Originally, 30 years ago or so, they started as legislative aides. Who had probably been graduates of the Triangle Club or Yale's theater group or whoever, and they decided to start the satirical group, and so they perform, and they're coming on September 30th. It's a Friday night, so tickets will be available. It's going to be at Richardson Auditorium. Thank you, Princeton University, for letting us use that.
Right.
And that will be our major fundraiser for the year, and we'll have a couple of special things. We'll have 3 or 4 raffle items that'll be very neat. That'll be in excess of $1,000 per prize for whatever the raffle ticket will be. So look for look for the sale of our raffle tickets.
All right.
We hope somebody wants to play golf. We'll get the golf package, and somebody wants to go on vacation to Florida. I'll go on the vacation. Florida, things, and all of these things have been donated to us. So it will be a revenue stream that again will help us provide the social services that we need to keep the class prices either zero or as low as possible, and to keep our staffing what it needs to be. And in the 3 years even that I've been here, our staffing has had to grow. We are constantly requested for information on what do I do with mom. I'm not sure that she's, competent to live by herself,
Right.
or she can absolutely live by herself, but she's lonely and needs, stimulus, what's
Right.
available, what kind of transportation is available in this
Exactly.
community.
Right.
And we help coordinate all of that.
And also, like we're getting older, which I hate to say.
Yes.
But, we're not 24 anymore. But the thing is, we need sometimes these services.
We do.
Oh, so,
totally.
I know someone that had a hip replacement,
Mm-hmm.
and she needed the services for somebody to drive
Right.
her to,
Right.
physical
And we coordinate with
therapy.
Ride Provide,
Right,
which is a
right.
great service. For
Right.
anybody who doesn't know about Ride Provide in the Princeton area, it's phenomenal. It's a partnership between the different agencies in the Princeton area, including the Princeton Hospital.
Right.
And for a very reduced fee, and I'm going to guess that it's $3 or so.
Oh my God, that's
You can ride within this community to get to a doctor's appointment,
Right.
to get to the
That's
senior
right.
center. If
Right.
there's a class you want to be taking and you don't have a car, you aren't able to drive,
Right.
it's frightening to lose your independence when you lose
Oh,
the
yes.
ability to comfortably drive, which is,
Right.
again, one of the big things that we try and do is have all of our programs during daylight hours.
right.
We don't, very rarely do we have something that's an evening program. Our
Yeah.
barbecue is in the summer, it'll
It'll
go
go
until
until
8, so it won't
Right.
even be dark by then, but it's not during the regular 9 to 5.
Right.
But we do try and have our programs
Yes.
pretty much within 9 to 5
Right.
for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
For that reason.
No, that's a
And I
great
think another
realization.
huge underutilization of the center are a lot of my contemporaries are dealing with their parents. They are adjusting to, can my folks live at home? Do they need to have somebody who comes in every day or twice
Right.
a week?
Mm-hmm.
If we consider moving to assisted living, what are the elements that are most important to, my family, my siblings, and myself
Right.
adjusting to what my parents can do? And
Right.
a lot of what the social workers and our executive director, Susan Hoskins, who is herself a social worker and
Right.
really phenomenal people, can help work out a lot of the sibling and offspring relationships that have to go on as you are
Right,
dealing
yeah,
with an
yeah,
aging
right.
parent. And that's critical. And I often hear friends who've said, I'm dealing with, such and
Right,
such,
right.
and my mother lives, 4 towns away
Over,
from here.
yeah.
And I go, come in.
Okay. Yeah.
If we don't have the resources for you, we have the resources to tell you where to go in your mother's community, in
Right.
your father's community.
Right.
So-
No, it's a great comfort
Yeah, good.
to know.
Oh, good.
To know that these things are available.
Yeah.
Which I think is really very important.
They are.
What are some of the upcoming events, for the community that you
Well,
have?
so beyond our events that are coming up, the barbecue, which is going to be on June 18th, which is, and again, we try and keep as many of our events as low price as
That's
possible. So that
right.
one's under $40, and that's dinner and a dance.
And it's so much fun.
And it is fun. It is
Yeah.
really fun. We've
It's
got a
fun.
great line dance caller. You
Right.
don't have to have any experience,
No,
And
no.
I think last year when we did it, we must have had 80 people, 80, 90 people up and dancing. I have a little video clip
Right,
of them.
yeah.
The room's pretty
I
crowded.
know, yeah. And everybody goes to the right and I go to the left. So I mean, and they say to me, the other way, the other way.
Right. Yeah, but Harry and Gail are good
Okay,
at that.
yeah.
They're very
They're
experienced
great.
line dance instructors. So we have, in the fall, we have a fall conference. And this year it will be on caregivers.
Okay.
So I hope a lot of that population that I was just talking about,
Right.
the people who are in there, sort of the sandwich
That's
generation, those who are dealing with their kids going off to college, and their parents figuring out where they want to downsize to.
Right.
And still stay connected and still stay engaged. So we're going to have a conference. We have a fall conference which runs for the majority of a Saturday. We have several speakers so
Right.
that somebody can go to 2 or 3 sessions in a day.
Yeah.
Plus we have a number of our vendors who have been annual supporters of ours. Great places. We have, Atrium, healthcare that's up by
Right.
Windrow. We have Acorn Glen, which is assisted living, and
Right.
progression physical therapy that are here in
Right.
town. We have about 7. We have Bear Creek also. So they come to our fall conference
Right.
as vendors to provide information for their services, so that the attendees of the conference, we probably have 150,
Right.
200 people. That's
Right.
free. We have snacks. We have lunch. We have
yes,
we have
yes.
a keynote speaker, and then we have, as I said, 4 or 5 different sessions, and you can choose from those sessions that are most relevant to you to go to, because each
Right.
session is repeated. Then after that, well, I don't know if it'll be after it or right before it. We sponsor the flu shot and immunizations
yes.
for whatever the other immunizations are,
Right.
with the township and with local pharmacy does that.
Right.
That's also in the fall.
Yeah.
I think the Princeton Health Department sets the date for that.
Yeah.
But we help coordinate that. Again,
Right.
that's another demand on our staff that's
Right.
Great.
Right.
And again, another partnership that PSRC has with other really critical other community
Right.
partners. We do a holiday party every
Yes.
winter, and that is sponsored by one of our annual sponsors, Acorn Glen, partners with us and brings all of the food. We probably have about 100 people who come
Yeah, I think
to
I
the
went
holiday
last year.
party.
Yes, yes.
It's predominantly for lower income families that really may not have family in the area.
Right.
They may not be going to somebody else's,
Right.
corporate
But-
Christmas
Christmas
party or
party.
something.
Right,
So we have a
exactly.
great time there.
Right.
We have singers. Last year, I think the boy choir school came and
Yes.
sang.
Yes. Yes.
In other years, we've had other performers. And what other events do we have coming up? I think that might be it
Yeah,
that are on the schedule
There's
this
some-
early. I'm
yeah.
sure there'll be more in the
I know. There's
by the
there's
fall.
some-
I'll know more.
I know. There's so much always going
Yeah,
on there.
yeah.
I mean, there really is. Real quickly, because we're running out
Oh.
of time. What are some of the volunteer opportunities for your group that
Well,
people can get
for my group,
involved?
when we have an event, we always need volunteers, which is great. So
Right.
as I talked about Bloomberg before,
Right.
they're coming and helping. A few people are coming in with the barbecue. But we love having, and you've been a great volunteer
Thank
for
you.
other events. It's very handy to have somebody who can help us set up the tables and make it look lovely
Lovely.
and get out the silverware and do the floral arrangements.
And Barbara, we're almost out of time. So let us, how can people contact you?
Well, the Princeton Senior Resource Center is in the Suzanne Pat building, Suzanne
Right.
Patterson building, which is behind the big George Washington Monument.
Right.
You can get on our website, which is princetonsenior.org, and there's a donate button there, and donate, or come to one of our events is
Right.
another way of supporting us.
And what is the telephone number?
609-924-7108. And again,
All
the
right.
website is princetonsenior.org.
All right. Thank you so much.
This has been so much fun.
I
Thank
know.
you.
And I hope to see you at the Princeton Senior Center, and just come over and introduce yourself. You'll be very happy that you came there. There's great people and great programs. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for this opportunity.
You're welcome.